You guys, I'm going to share this message in your hearing today. It's in regards to walking the plank. Walking the plank. The Lord had gave me this message last year. And the vision that I saw was God's people walking on this plank. And I heard a lot of chatter going on behind us and around us. As we looked to turn around, there was a light shining from the sky, from heaven. And the Lord was saying to get off the plank. The turning around was to see who was chattering, to see who was talking. Now, there was a mixture of men and women, and this chatter, it was so loud. It was like they were rooting on for us to walk this plank, rooting for us to walk this plank and resign for God says not so. There's two things that the Lord pointed out in this message. He said, do not become arrogant trying to defend your innocence. What the Lord is saying in that message is that do not try to prove to people your purity. Do not try to prove to people who God has called you to be. Do not try to prove to people what God is doing in your life, where he's taking you. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. You don't have to prove your innocence to anyone. God is basically saying, I'm going to do that. So get off that plank. Don't allow anyone to set you up to resign and forfeit what God is telling you to do. Right? The second message is do not invent a sin to satisfy another. The sin is idolizing what the chattering was going on. We idolized that chattering, and we were refusing to do what God was calling us to do. Like it was interrupting. It was a distraction. So we began to idolize that thing. That's how we ended up on a plank to begin with. That's how we ended up on a plank to begin with, because we begin to idolize the chatter. We begin to idolize what these people were saying and what they felt that we need to do to prove our innocence. And God says not so. Let me read to you real quick what this means. Walking the plank means to be forced to resign. And I'm just going to skip down a little bit. And it's mainly by pirates is where they get the term from. But whereby a victim was forced to walk off the end of the board, placed on the edge of the ship's deck, and so to drown. God said not so. God saying get off that plank. Stop allowing other people's chatter and what they say about you and what God is doing in your life. Do not become arrogant in trying to defend your innocence. Let God vindicate you. Let God vindicate you. And do not create a sin by trying to prove to these people that you're innocent and idolizing what they say versus what God says. I pray that you would not idolize any person in your life. That God's voice would be louder than an enemy. That God's voice would be louder than the chatter around you. It doesn't matter who it is. Get off that plank. Do not create a sin to satisfy other people, and do not try to prove your innocence to anyone. Amen. Be blessed.